Ladies and gentlemen, we have Ria Singh, a technical analyst, currencies at Nirmal Bang joining in. Ria, we've been seeing these kind of gyrations, the kind of moves that are happening on the Indian rupee. Now, firstly, we've been on a daily basis talking about what's the trend looking like. But today, what I want to talk to you about is number one, if the impact of COVID 19 on India is more than the impact on other economies or currencies of the other economies as well.
Hi, Hiral. Good morning. Taking into concern the COVID-19 panning out, I think the reaction that you get from the FIIs with respect to the emerging market is quite drastic because they try to pull out the gains before the risk averts more. In respect to that, yes, the FII's outflows has been quite dramatic, but in line with the pandemic and the risk uh, panning out, and also taking into consideration the economic outlook from here, the impact of the COVID-19 has been quite in line with the Indian currencies as well as the future predicament of the same. So it's not much of a surprise if the rupee is now at beyond the 75 levels, as the economic outlook does look quite dampened. The all the predicted and the assumed percentage or the levels that were announced in the budget is now quite a far-fetched dream. So yes, it has been in line with the impact. So there is not much of a surprise if the currencies depreciates now.
Right. And with this, we are the kind of cuts, the kind of crash that we've seen with regards to where crude oil goes, that's something that actually no one imagined. Because overall, if you go to see, oil prices have fallen to historic lows, and this was mainly on the back of the WTI, the West Texas crude futures, which actually turned a negative, something which actually indicates that traders would actually have to pay to have oil taken off their hands as the supply gut is testing the storage capacity. What is the impact that this could have on the Indian rupee?
Coming to the oil, it has been a hot topic from the late yesterday. See, the pandemic has shaved off almost 30 billion barrels per day demand. This is a very important point because the absence of demand is something that is playing out in the crash. There is no clarity when the demand might recover, and with the crash in the oil, the pictures look quite blurred. Even with the unprecedented output deal that happened between OPEC and allied members on Sunday to curb the supply has failed. It was very hard to believe that the price of any commodity, let alone oil, can dip into the negative territory. But yes, there's a first time for everything, I think. But if you take a closer look, only the US oil basket has crashed. Now, one needs to know that in the future contract, ultimately the physical delivery of the underlying commodity or security takes place. So the contract in the US expires today. So what the buyers of this contract can either do is sell these contracts for oil now or take delivery of the oil by the end of the May. So, of course, the speculators who are in the market or the ETF of the US, like USO, who deals in the paper barrel, is not eager to take a physical delivery of any amount of oil, even if they could find somewhere, to store it. This resulted in the dumping of the oil that we saw yesterday. So, no matter what the price was, there was the dumping of the oil contracts, which led it into the negative territory. So the June contract, which expires in May 20, is a better representation of the oil market, which is down but not as drastic as the current contract, which has the around 300%. If you look at the Brent crude, which is currently now at $24, $24, and even the OPEC members basket, it has not taken a dip. So it is quite pertaining to the contract expiry rather than the actual dip into the oil. So we can see the crude back again above $20. So there is not much of effect. Taking all these points into consideration, there will not be much effect on the currencies because this is a contract derived dip or the crash that we saw yesterday. The actual price is still at $22. So there will not be a much effect on the Indian, rupee, as we did saw rupee again opening in today's session at an high from yesterday's closing. So this picture, of today's opening derives that, the oil has maintaining the $22 will not crash much, but yes, the crash that we saw yesterday was purely on the contract basis. So we will not see much of the effect on the Indian rupee coming into picture. You can see some profit taking a leg, but you will not see rupee moving beyond 75 or 74.50, even if it in a worst case scenario.
Right. And beyond this as well, yeah, I mean, we're talking of overall what's happening with crude. We're talking of, what's expected to happen, at least in terms of where uh, the entire basket of currencies is concerned. But with this as well, a couple of barometers that RBI looks at. One is in
Hmm.
terms of NEER, and the other one is in terms of REER. Now, in terms of NEER, the rupee has
Yes.
depreciated to its lowest level since almost November 2018. Whereas if you see REER as well, the rupee has depreciated in March and fallen to its lowest level since September 2019. Are these indicators actually showing us that Indian economy is reducing its competitiveness?
Hmm. So yes, if you see at the economic disruption that has happened due to the spread of the COVID-19 over the past few months, it has adversely affected various aspects of the Indian economy. The competitiveness being one of it. The the NEER and REAL, if you look at the REAL has been now at 116.51, by NEER is at 71.22. Typically, the stronger economies have stronger currencies. So right now, with the rupee losing the value against the dollar over the past few months, it's losing its, the strength of the economy. So yes, when it comes to the relation with the nominal effective exchange rate, which is NEER, the countries with India trades more are given a greater, are giving a greater weightage on this index. But as if you look at the rupee depreciating to its lowest level, the dip in March and was likely influenced by the net outflow of FIIs. So mostly the dip that we are seeing in both these terms are because of the FII's investment pulling out from the Indian economy, from the Indian equity, the debt market, which was at a record of $15.92 billion. So yes, when it comes to such risk, scenarios, the competitiveness of the emerging market do go quite a bit. But you can also look at the inflation, rate, which the exchange rate between the currencies, and the RBI constantly trying to pull in the stability. We can hope something will, something good will come out of it.
Okay, so something good could come out of it as well. So that's something we should be watching out for. But apart from that, Ria, overall, what should be the strategies that one should be adopting, taking the volatility into consideration?
Yes. So if you look at the yesterday's the dollar has gained broadly across the globe with respect to its safe haven appeal. With the FIIs withdrawing a net of 12,650 crores from the Indian capital market so far in the April, which is has which is a tad bit better than what it was seen in March. So, taking these overall consideration, we can see some profit taking leg in the rupee, but yes, you can rather going for a short. The buy will be a much better option. So that, and also there is some sell off that can happen in the pound. So going short on the pound is a better strategy for today. So JPY INR and the INR USD INR remains a buy for today from the lower levels for the target of 77 and uh, you know respectively for the rupee, and the JPY INR is a, you can place a target of 71.45.
Right. All right, Ria. Pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for giving us those strategies for the day, as well as giving us a bit of explanation as well as to what's happening around in the money market. So that
Mm-hmm.
was Ria Singh, technical analyst currencies from Nirmal Bang. In fact, you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook to get more updates. Thank you for watching.